This is Jason with 4W Knives. Got a project today. It's been a while, but I did a video on some cable Damascus, and I ended it with just finishing the billet out. Well, I've stretched it out, thinned it, and I'm going to make a couple of, I guess I'd call them utility knives today. I'm using this as my pattern. I'm going to do stock removal, at least with this cable Damascus I am. I had a friend send it to me. It's not my design. Had a friend send me a picture of it and said, hey, you ought to try it. It's about 5 inches long. I don't know. I thought it'd be pretty cool just to mess around with and try it. And I needed something to do with this cable Damascus. So I'm gonna make 2 of them. Fits just right in there. I think it'd be a fun little project. So I'm gonna make them and try it out. I'm doing a similar build. This is some old a gomai that I'd made up. I hand forged that one out, did a little bit of grind, and then decided I wanted to go smaller. So just trying some new things out. I got a couple of orders I need to complete, but thought that this would be. Since I'm doing stock removal, I'm using this old Harbor Freight angle grinder with a cutoff wheel to cut the rough profile. If you do this, just be careful. Always use a guard and pay attention. These things can do a lot of damage really quick. Once I get it cut here, I'll take it over to the 2x72 grinder and get the final shaping. I'm using a 10-inch wheel with a 32 grit belt just to do some quick removal. This is an older belt. I didn't want to use a new one on it. Just bought some new ones, and they're not cheap. So it takes a little longer than what it normally would. I put a fresh one on it later whenever I do the bevels, but just to get this shape, I wasn't in a hurry, so I just took my time and got it down to the shape and size that I wanted. This is my small wheel attachment. I've got it on a grinder that I made out of an old baseball pitching machine that used to be my son's. I advise anybody that gets into this to get the attachment. It makes the handle cleanup work quick. Of course, here I'm just drilling holes for the scales. Nothing too fancy about that, just getting after it. Someday I'll have a surface grinder, but I don't today, so I'm using my flat platen just to get it as flat as I can and as clean as I can, getting rid of any of the deep gouges or scratches in it from the forging process earlier. Alright, I wanted to show you this part. It's pretty simple. We have to find a center line on the edge to start making the bevel. So what a lot of people do is they'll just use a black magic marker or Sharpie. They'll color it in really good. Mine's blade's a little wet, so it's not going on there really good. But you'll darken it in all the way. And I used to use a drill bit, which worked, but I never got a really good line. Well, I picked this little dude up at Jant's, and it's been awesome. It's got a little indicator here or adjustment, and you just slide it up against the blade. So scratch it, go to the other side, scratch it, and you get your center line. It's kind of hard to pick up in the deal, but it'll give me a center line, and I'll grind down to it, which will be about about a size of a dime is the preferred length or thickness. So anyways, thought I'd show you that. I'm gonna go ahead and get this one set up, and I'll show you the grinding. I'm gonna attempt to put a hollow grind on it. It's pretty thin, so I don't know how much of a hollow grind it'll get, and it's not very long, so we'll see. Once I get the center line drawn, I get to the wheel and I put a 45-degree edge on it all the way down to the line. This gives me a good point to work from. I'll gradually go from the 45-degree edge, which I'll show you here in a second, and I work my way up to the bevel lines that I drew in with the marker. Since I've started doing this, my bevels have come up much more even, and I don't seem to have as many irregularities to it. All right, once I get the bevels roughed in, I'll move over and I'll do my heat treating process. First step in my process is to do a thermal cycle. I'll actually do 3 of them, and it's pretty simple. It's just heating it up to a critical temp and then letting it cool slowly. I'll do that 3 times. Has something to do with like resetting the molecules in the steel or something like that, way above my head, but I know you're supposed to do it, and it helps with grain structure, which helps it not warp when I quench it, and it also helps it not break later. So I always do it, and like I said, I'll do 3 of these. After I hang it up on the rack there, I'll go back and I'm just going to show you after the thermal cycles. I'll heat it back up to critical temp, and then I'll drop it in the oil to do a quench. I'll go ahead and show the dropping it in the oil, but that'll be about it on the heat treating. Follow that up with a temper cycle at 400 degrees in an oven, and I'll do that twice for 2 hours. Okay, after the temper cycle is over, I take it to the 2x72 and clean it up. I first use a 36 grit belt, then I go to 80, 120, Trizac 180, then 220, 400, and then I finish it up with a conditioning belt. Just to clean it up, refine the bevels, and limit as much hand sanding as I need to do, which I'll state later in this video. I'm not going to do any hand sanding on it, or at least that's the plan, so we'll see. All right, thought I would explain some of this. I went in to the house, I put my maker's mark on it, just using a 9-volt battery and some cotton gauze with salt water. I'm gonna clean it up on the 2x72. This is an A30 Trizac belt, which is the equivalent of about an 800 grit. I'm gonna go ahead and clean it up, get rid of all the scratches, and then soak it in some acid to bring out the pattern. my plan is to not do any hand sanding on it. So with this 800, it should have a good enough finish on it that it should look good. So, and if it doesn't, I'll go back and hand sand it. I'm always tempted to make the viewer wait to see the etch until after I get some work done, but this was too good. I had to show it. What a beautiful pattern. I'm really impressed with it. I let it soak for 15 minutes, which is longer than what I normally do, so I'm going to count that for the extra contrast. And there's the other one. I've been working on both of them at the same time. I'm going to soak it in some coffee to see if I can make it a little bit darker. And that part, I probably won't show you the result until after I get the handle on it. But so far, pretty cool. All right, so handle material. I'm gonna go with some oyster pearl kieranite for one of them. And then my first time working with some walnut burl scales. I thought the colors looked awesome on it, so I'm going to give that a shot. We'll see. I'll show a little bit of the process, but not a whole lot. The video is starting to run long, so hang tight. We'll see a finished product pretty soon. I have the scales are all glued up and shaped. Only thing left now is the hand sanding. Just wanted to show you the before, and then when I pick back up, it'll be the after, and it should all be finished up, cleaned up, and looking good, hopefully. Okay, kind of like the last video I did, I waited a little bit long to finish it up. And so I don't have a video of the knives, but what I do have is a finished product. I had a hard time getting the entire knife on screen at one time with my pictures. I had already shipped it off, but here is the finished product, best that I can show you. I thought they both turned out really well. There were a couple of imperfections on the white handle, on the blade part, but I thought they turned out really well. I enjoyed the process. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. And I hope you like the outcome. Both of these were scooped up pretty fast, and I was happy to make them. Got a couple more that I've made since. So anyways, again, appreciate it, and if you would care to subscribe, maybe give a like, and maybe get a few more viewers on this.